Hello, friends. So I have a question for you. Do you wake up to a life that you're obsessed with? Do you wake up to a life that you're in love with? And if I could be so bold, do you wake up with a spiritual boner every single morning? This was something that I was thinking about last night. I was tossing and turning in bed. I hit a major milestone in my business this week. I sold a coaching program for 6 months, and I was able to connect with somebody who had been a former retreat guest who I know I can make a huge impact with, that I know the work is going to be life changing for him. And it was the first time I ever charged 5 figures for anything, for a retreat, for a coaching program. And I was almost going to lower my prices a couple weeks ago. And I'd been debating on it. And most of it comes down to a lot of self work around worth and value and just believing in myself. And I'm working with this amazing woman who didn't tell me what to do, but definitely gave me some pushback of like, no, if like that's the person that you want to become, and if that's the person who you believe you are, who's not only capable of charging that amount, but giving that amount of value, then you have to stick with it. And so I did. And I have to tell you, when we got on our call, me and this gentleman, and when he said yes, and when I saw the order come through, it was like Christmas. I mean, it was such a validation. It was such a beautiful moment, um, of just feeling accomplished, of feeling, uh, just overwhelmed with joy and love for life. And for the most part, I really get to feel this way in my life very often. I wake up with tons of gratitude. I also intentionally practice gratitude, especially right before I go to bed. So that's in my subconscious while I'm sleeping. But I really do wake up with this like zest, this excitement to live each day. And why am I sharing all this? To brag, to be egoic, to be annoying. No, I'm sharing this because 10 years ago, I used to wake up to a job that would make me literally say the word fuck when I would open my eyes. Like it wasn't even a conscious thing. Like I would open my eyes and I'd be like, fuck, I got to live life today. I got to go to this job. I got to deal with these people. I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm drowning. I felt so bad at my job. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like the ugly kid in class. I felt like I just wasn't getting anywhere. And I'd left another better paying job because I thought this job was at least going to be more fun. And life wasn't a lot of fun. Life wasn't a lot of fun. I had a lot of coping mechanisms. I knew how to drink and eat and smoke my way to trying to feel better. But I definitely wasn't obsessed with my life. I wouldn't say I was even in love with my life. I'd say I was just treading water, and actually most of the time feeling like I was treading water with a lead vest on, just sinking, drowning, trying to survive to get to Friday. And then you fit in one day of a little bit of happiness, but you also got to do all your chores and your laundry and all that stuff. And then there's Sunday, and the Sunday scaries are real. It's right around the corner. So, how do we get from point A to point B? This is something that people ask me often when they see, the trips to Bali and the time freedom and just my general way of being, pretty joyous and childlike and optimistic and happy. And it's not without its tough days. I've struggled with depression. I've been really open and honest about that for a long time. I've had suicidal ideations throughout most of my life. I know how to really go off the deep end and isolate and self-medicate and do a lot of different things. And these things have crept up on me even throughout the course of my healing journey, throughout the course of being a breathwork and meditation yoga teacher and being a, leader and a retreat facilitator. I've had retreats where I've come home and had to lay on the couch for a full day and just ate pizza and buffalo wings and just had to literally, check out because I didn't know how to regulate, especially at a nervous system level, which is the work that I'm doing now. And the reason I'm so passionate about it is because I know that all roads really, really lead back to there. So, you know, it's it's not easy, friends. It's not easy to get from a life that feels like too much, where you feel like you're not enough, where you feel like everything's an uphill battle, where you feel like it's a struggle, to having a life that you literally wake up obsessed with. Um, but I will tell you that it's possible. First and foremost, it's possible. I never thought I was super smart or special or unique in any way. I Grew up always feeling like I was doing a lot of things wrong. I was never great at school. I got really bad grades. I think I disappointed my parents with the college that I went to and just who I was. And even to today, I just don't feel like I'm really that impressive to them in a lot of ways. And I know that this is still in a nervous system level is what's been kind of holding me back from, charging that full amount for that coaching program or really leaning into the person that I want to become. But if I could give you one piece of advice, it's this. If you haven't clearly defined for you, for nobody else, for you, who that version of yourself is that you want to become, and you haven't made it clear with the universe that that's who you're going to become. If you haven't decided that that's who you're going to become and that it is the most important thing in your life, and that everything you do from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed is reflecting back to getting you closer to that person that you want to be, you're always just leaving potential on the table. And one of my favorite movies is A Bronx Tale, and one of the famous quotes is, there's nothing sadder in life than wasted talent. And we all have such massive talents. We all have such massive gifts. We all have massive things that we can share with this world. But it's a lot of there's a lot of different reasons why we lose the plot. We get caught up in what society wants from us, what our families want from us, what we think is going to make us the most amount of money. There's a litany of reasons, right, why you can get off the path of what your true essence, what your true purpose is. And if you struggle with that, if you struggle to get back onto that path of what that really is, the most valuable thing for me is just to really disconnect from all that noise. It's to meditate, it's to spend time in nature, it's to spend time around people who help you to be that version of yourself, or at least get you closer to understanding what that is. And you know it when you're around it. When you're with those people that give you honest feedback, not just pump up your ego, but actually are very honest with you. It's part of the reason I've stepped into the coaching space more, getting coaching, giving coaching, because it's raw and it's real. It's not sugar coated. And I think as much as, we want to believe that manifestation is, writing things down in your journal and then they're going to appear, you've got to take massive action. I mean, you've got to find the hill that you're willing to die on, and you got to be obsessive about becoming it and living it every moment of every day. And so for me, that looks like waking up early, praying, meditating, getting clear about who I am and what I'm becoming, saying it, affirming it. I have a whole chat GPT thread where I literally just talk to it every single day. And I'm saying, this is what I'm creating. I'm creating a business that does $1 million in sales every year. And I pay my people really well. And the people I work with, they love to work with me. They feel like the value that I give them is 100x of what they pay me, even if they're paying me $10,000 for coaching. This is what I believe. This is what I'm working on. This is what I'm manifesting. And then I go out in the world and I move my feet, right? So I'm getting to the gym. I'm, pushing myself. I'm putting myself in challenging situations. And, there's been a lot of dark days. There's been days where retreats didn't sell. I'm literally in the midst right now. There's a retreat happening. Let's see, 13, what's supposed to happen in 10 days, in 10 days. And I might have to cancel it because I don't have enough people. That's crazy. I've run 53 retreats. I've only canceled 2 retreats in 10 years. One was during COVID. So this would only be really the second time in normal times that I've had to cancel a retreat. And you get back in the ring. You keep swinging. You keep trying. You keep pushing. You keep getting up early. You keep on your practices. Be mindful what you put in your body. You got to move your body. I'm not saying anything that's new. You could go find a million self-help videos on this stuff. That there is a formula within this. But if not now, when? You're never as young as you are right now. You never have as much potential to create this life as you do right now. But until you put it at the top of the pedestal, until it matters to you more than everything else, it's just going to be a what if. It's just going to be a what if. So, are you living a life that you're obsessed with? Plain and simple. Are you living a life where you wake up every day and you're like, fuck yeah, I can't wait to live this day? Like, you're not dragging yourself out of bed. You might be tired, right? But you're excited. I think there's a sweet spot. Even Joe Dispenza says in meditation, like the sweet spot is like you should be a little bit tired. It should be a little bit hard, but you should be dying to want to do it. And the last little thing I'll say, since I brought up Joe Dispenza, is, there's this idea of connecting to something greater than yourself. And we call it God, we call it universe, we call it source. And I've been having a lot more conversations with this force, with this magic. And I've been communicating to it. This is, like I said, these are the things that I'm wanting to create. This is the person that I'm going to become. I even put a thing on my phone where I look at an image every time I open my phone of me fit and surrounded by things that I want to be surrounded by, creating things that I want to create. And so this is like an obsession. This is what I know I'm, destined to create, but I'm having that conversation every single day with the universe. I'm affirming it back. I'm speaking it into existence. It's the most important thing in my life. Not out partying, not out doing um, things that I know are frankly just going to take me further away from who I want to become. Right? So, if you're listening to this and it's inspiring you, awesome. If you're listening to this and it's triggering the shit out of you, and you're like, "Fuck this guy! I don't know who he thinks he is." That's awesome too, because I've listened to people that have achieved way more than me and felt exactly the same way, and I couldn't always fully buy into, oh, you can manifest it, you can create it, all this kind of stuff. But I'll tell you, those people took massive action and they failed a lot before they succeeded. And they're just the ones that stayed in the ring a little bit longer. I've been playing a lot of pickleball and it's so funny. Sometimes you'll be totally defensive in a point. The other guy has the upper hand and you just got to get it over the net one more time. And you get it over and you lob it up in the air. And you're like, oh, he's going to smash it. This is the end of the point. And then he hits it long or he hits it into the net. You're like, shit, all I needed to do was stay in it for one more shot. I just needed to dig my heels in and try one more time. Right. So even this retreat, that's not selling. It doesn't mean I'm not going to run a retreat again. I literally just had a lady yesterday go on my insight timer and tell me one of the meditations I did was not her style, quote unquote. That was how I started my day. It was the first thing I opened in my email. You know, it's like, it's not always going to work, but you can live a life that you're obsessed with. We all can. We all can. And that looks so different for everybody. It doesn't have to be your own business. It doesn't have to be going to Bali. It doesn't have to be any of that stuff. But you got it really clear on the person that you're creating. And what are the things that are doing that are bringing you closer? Who are the people that you're spending time with that are bringing you closer to that? And what's taking you further away? And if it is, you just got to be honest. It's got to go. It's got to go. Simple as that. So I'm excited, friends. I'm excited to be creating new ways of being online and creating new communities. We have Unfuck Your Nervous System, which is a program I just put together for our community to really understand this work at a nervous system level. Look, I think, tarot and crystals and, you know, birth charts and all that, it's all great. It's all cool, whatever gets you up the mountain. But to me, it all lives in your nervous system. It's all your belief systems around what you have the potential to create. And all these things, all these tools, they allow you to buy in or they keep you from opting in. So if you can really understand just the fundamental operating system of you and you can hack into that, tap into that, man, you can start to embrace these new realities in such powerful and profound ways. And there are shortcuts. There are ways to get there faster. It takes effort. But so we're creating that right now. We're creating new ways for people to connect and get offline. We have a raw dogging life community where we're getting people off their phones back into reality, getting them out of looking at other people's lives and living vicariously through other people's lives and other people's problems and really getting them present and back to what it is, they want to create in their lives. And that's why so much of us are struggling with our mental health. We're staring at these screens, we're staring at all these other people and their opinions and their thoughts and even the self-help world, man. It's so overwhelming. There's so much out there. And you get back to your intuition. How do you get back to your reality? Because that's the only way you're going to create the life that you're obsessed with. It's the only way you're going to do it. Is to really figure out the essence of who you are and what turns you on. And no coach, nobody can tell you that. I don't tell any of my clients that I have that magic answer for them, but I tell them I can help them get to that space of understanding it and knowing it. Then I can be an accountability for them. I can push them. I can motivate them, right, to get there. So again, I hope this helps you, whether it inspired you or made you triggered. It's all good. I'm here for all of it. I want to send you lots of love. If you're in a period of life where it feels like it's just too much, the world feels like a lot. I've been there a million times. I get it. I totally get it. I wanted to give up on this a few times. I've had people in my close circles tell me that, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you should go do this or that or go get a job or, you know. but I'm still here, still getting the ball over the net. So, and if I can do it, I promise you can too. All right. Lots of love. Thanks for listening.